bring down the intraocular pressures. I think it's far more difficult to handle a low pressure rather than having a high pressure. So low pressures, definitely, it is highly stressful. So hypotony, numerically, we can call it as intraocular pressures less than 6.5 millimeters of mercury or less than 3 standard deviation below the population mean. Clinically, we can define hypotony based on the duration, whether it is acute, transient, chronic, or because of the functional changes that we have or the structural changes that we have. So there are several guidelines that looks at the definition of early versus late, and clinically we take 3 months cut off between the late and the early. Why is that important? It's important because when you have a chronic hypotony beyond a certain time point, there are some permanent changes that happen in the ocular structures that can lead to permanent decrease in intraocular pressure, to permanent decrease in vision. Also, we have to understand that not everybody with low pressures have complications. In fact, I have a lady whose pressures are always 12 and 13 millimeters of mercury, 80 plus post-trabeculectomy, but she has consistent choroidal detachment and she needs to be on topical steroids for a very long time. So there are some patients where young patients with elastic sclera, high myopes with thin sclera, post-vitrectomized eyes, which do have higher risk for hypotony. When should you worry about low pressures? I think when the intraocular pressures are below a certain number, but more importantly when you have associated posterior segment problems like choroidal detachment or hypotony maculopathy, or regardless of the intraocular pressure, if you require to go and repair that because of the structural changes, one need to worry about it. So what happens when you have low intraocular pressure? Starting from the front of the eye to the back of the eye, a lot of changes do happen. There is a corneoscleral shrinkage. In fact, the axial length comes down significantly. You can have hypotonic keratopathy, where you have vertical folds on the cornea that can be very visually disturbing. You can have dystrophic calcification on the cornea. Sometimes that could be the first presentation for a young patient with low pressures for a very long time. You can have very high cylindrical power, like something like -8, -9 when you have hypotony. You may be happy with a well-functioning filtering level, but you're worried about the high cylinder that these patients have. And also you can have hypotony maculopathy that can lead to permanent decrease in intraocular pressure. Let us look at a few scenarios where early post-trabeculectomy hypotony, when there is a leak in the early post-operative period, shallow anterior chamber, leak from the edge of a wing suture, retina and choroid is normal, what would be our next step? Of course, we may want to observe it, but if there is a presence of a choroidal detachment or if the leak is quite a bit, then you may want to fix it. Early post-operative period, we do use a large diameter bandage contact lens, which is at least 15.5 millimeters, and we leave it at least for 2 to 3 weeks so that there is a mechanical tamponade, and it definitely helps to seal the leak. We don't have to suture it every time. On the other hand, when you see a situation like this, 2 weeks post-trabeculectomy with mitomycin C, IOP is on the lower side, flat hair, absolutely non-filtering, localized avascular conjunctiva with a cleft leak. Now you can't go and suture this, and you know the leak is because of the abnormal conjunctiva that is there. What should we do? So, is there a role for conservative management? Is there a role for oral doxycycline? This is something that we do use whenever we see the conjunctiva is very abnormal. Oral doxycycline 100 milligram twice daily for at least 2 weeks helps to resolve the tissue necrosis that is there. How it helps is it prevents the collagenolysis that happens in the early post-operative period by calcium chelation, and that helps to preserve the tissue, and hence the conjunctiva can heal and the blood can start functioning well if we are fortunate. Late post-trabeculectomy hypotony is more difficult to deal with. This is a patient who has had a trabeculectomy many years ago. Vision is not that affected, except the near vision was in 8, IOP of 2. There is no leak that you can observe, but on careful examination there is a blood sweating that you see, and these eyes need to be repaired because if you leave it, the chances of infection are very high. While we need to repair it, but we also have to make sure that the pressures are controlled in the post-operative period. So this is an extreme case where trabeculectomy was done many years ago. flat blood literally not functioning. Patient was on 3 topical anti-glaucoma medications because of high intraocular pressure. Suddenly she presents with decrease in vision for 2 months, no trauma, but intraocular pressure is unrecordable now. Corneal edema, hypotony, you can see the striae that are there on the cornea, extensive choroidal detachment, and there is no cleft that could be noted on fluvium. With intensive topical and oral steroids, the pressures were maintained, the choroidal detachment resolved, but she was left behind with these fixed folds in the descenates, you can see that, and the cornea never cleared. And she required an endothelial keratoplasty to maintain her vision at a later time point. So what we need to understand is, though hypotony can happen and we are able to reverse it, there are certain structures in the front of the eye as well as the fixed folds that happen in the back of the macula which can leave behind permanent damage, and hence it needs to be addressed appropriately. Hypotony with overfiltering blood elsewhere repaired, intraocular pressure continued to be low, and when we imaged it, we found that there was also a cleft that was possibly causing this hypotony, and that needed to be fixed. So whenever we see that there is a hypotony and you see that there is a huge overfiltering blood, that not necessarily is the only cause. We also need to image to understand if there was any other surgical trauma that was responsible for this low pressures. So this is an extreme case, a neovascular glaucoma with closed angles, extensive new vessels, vision is 20/40. Remember, if you have a neovascular glaucoma with a well-functioning eye, that means if the vision is good, there has to be a component of ocular ischemia in these eyes. Patient underwent a PRP and anti-VEGF injections. The blood vessels came down, and of course the patient underwent an implant with a tube in the sulcus. Did very well, pressures maintained well with 2 medications. 2 years later came back with unrecordable intraocular pressure, hypotonic keratopathy. You can see that the tube has become longer because of the low pressures. Patient was treated with intense topical steroids and oral steroids to some extent helped. Cornea improved, but the vision came back to 20/80 and did not improve beyond that. What we need to remember here is, it was an Ahmed glaucoma implant, which is a valve implant. This cannot overfilter. So if in a patient with a valve implant, in the absence of Behe cells, in the absence of any other ocular problem that you can see or a complication, if you see that there is a hypotony in these eyes, it has to be because of ciliary body hypoperfusion, which is often the case in patients with ocular ischemia. So they can come back. So there, extending a tube or removing of the tube is not a solution. We have to put them on topical steroids, maybe for a very long duration, so that the inflammation can be taken care of and the eye can be salvaged. Again, I think the last case that I will share, hypotony can happen with any intervention, and that can happen with cyclophotocoagulation as well. This was a patient who underwent apparently a safe type of the cyclophotocoagulation, which was a high frequency ultrasound, high intensity focused ultrasound that was done. You can actually look at these pictures where I think the 6 areas of the ciliary body was treated. This patient landed up having hypotony, decrease in the axial length, significant cataract and hypotonic keratopathy with almost a flat anterior chamber, and you can see the uveum that shows the ciliary body is almost atrophic. Underwent a cataract extraction, a vitrectomy with silicone injection, and we were able to salvage the eye, but the patient required multiple attempts of membranectomy of the membrane covering the lens. So once a severely inflamed eye and the ciliary body is irritated, then these eyes do undergo significant problems and inflammation in the postoperative period as well. So low pressures, definitely hypotony can cause serious complication. We need to understand when to wait and observe in the early postoperative period, when to intervene, especially in the early and more so in the late postoperative period, and what exactly you need to do. There is no one technique or one procedure that helps, but I think it is individualized based on the case. Identify the cause and treat it appropriately. This is an algorithm that we have devised, that whenever we see somebody with post-glaucoma surgery hypotony, there is a certain algorithm that you follow, understand step by step as to what is the likely cause of hypotony, and try and treat them appropriately. Thank you.